Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and I'm under the weather. I really apologize about my voice, so please bear with me. But anyway, in this video we have an exciting and interesting update here for the Ahsoka show, specifically regarding Thrawn and Lars Mikkelsen. We of course are going to go ahead and hop right on into it. In this video we are going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out down there as well. Why did Lars Mikkelsen not rewatch Star Wars Rebels before the Ahsoka show? Ahsoka actor Lars Mikkelsen revealed that he did not rewatch Star Wars Rebels before making his live-action premiere in the franchise as Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Ahsoka show coming out a little bit later this year in August. Now, after years of playing the Chiss military mastermind in the animated show Star Wars Rebels, Lars Mikkelsen will take on his Star Wars role yet again in the upcoming Rosie Dawson-led Ahsoka show on Disney+. And before being officially announced for the show, the Danish actor Mikkelsen played quite coy about his Ahsoka role, denying every other question about the character and his involvement with the Ahsoka show. However, now, with the Ghost Crew reassembling, Lucasfilm came calling for its iconic Rebels villain. The actor has not played Thrawn for more than 6 years now, last being seen in the Rebels finale back in 2017. That is something that one would think Mikkelsen's would revisit in anticipation for his live-action premiere. So why didn't he go ahead and revisit Star Wars Rebels and rewatch it before taking on the Thrawn role in live action? This is something that I'm especially curious with, because this is something that we all well know with Rupert Friend, who was the Grand Inquisitor in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show takes place before the events of the Star Wars Rebels animated show, where the Grand Inquisitor is playing quite a prominent role in that show, and the main reason behind that is because of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show taking place before those events of the animated show. Rupert Friend wanted the character to seem more different and more, well, cocky at that, and not as experienced as we see him in the Rebels animated show. And so with that, according to Thrawn actor Lars Mikkelsen, he purposely at that avoided rewatching Star Wars Rebels in preparation for the upcoming Ahsoka show. In an appearance on Entertainment Weekly's Dagobah Dispatch podcast, Lars Mikkelsen was asked if he ever went back to Rebels to familiarize himself with how he voiced him and played the character before. The Thrawn star noted that no, he didn't. He actually actively detached himself from any past previous performance of that character, saying that, in full quote, the Dagobah Dispatch had asked, "Did you ever go back and watch old Rebels episodes just to familiarize yourself with how you voiced him and played him before?" With Mikkelsen responding that no, I didn't actually. I needed to do something else, so I wanted to detach myself from that to create something new. Ending that quote right there. As I had mentioned earlier on, it's something very similar to what we saw with Rupert Friend in the Grand Inquisitor in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show and Star Wars Rebels. He wanted to create something different and separate from that kind of character because they take place in different eras. And so yes, we are seeing that same thing actually with Lars Mikkelsen and Thrawn. They're taking place in different eras. And so on that subject of playing the character again, Mikkelsen told On Demand Entertainment at Star Wars Celebration that it was important that he adapted his Star Wars villain for the new medium, as there are certain things that you can do with the cartoon that you can't do in live action. Saying that in full quote from Lars Mikkelsen, quote, "Well, you need to adapt to, it being live action. So there's certain things that you can do with the cartoon that you can't do in live action. You need to bring down or bring it to another level. But in terms of the embodiment of the character itself, I felt like I had practiced, for 5 or 6 years. Because even when you're voicing it in the box, you're still sort of, doing it. Still making the moves in that box and doing that thing. I felt I had practiced before." Ending that quote right there. I really feel like that to a point of what Lars Mikkelsen is saying is that he's really kind of like, he is the villain, and that Thrawn is him. And don't get me wrong, I don't mean that in necessarily like a weird, twisted, psychological kind of way, but I feel like to comparison of how we see Moff Gideon and Giancarlo Esposito playing the character of Moff Gideon is that, well, if you've ever seen Giancarlo Esposito in a behind the scenes, he's very similar to the characters that he plays on television, that going for Gus Fring in the Breaking Bad universe as well, and also for Moff Gideon. It's to a point, he's just playing himself. And so with that, I really think that that's what Lars Mikkelsen is doing. He's just playing himself, really, to a point. He had added on top of that after seeing an animated character embodying his performance for so many years, it was a bit of a shock seeing himself as a character finally in live action, saying that in full quote, he was asked the question, was it a shock to look at yourself in the mirror though, that first day of the makeup and go? And Mikkelsen's responded with, I was, oh yeah, I mean, they're so phenomenally good, the people that are working at that, and it takes the better part of 3 hours to do that transition, but yeah, that was weird. Ending that quote right there, we're really able to, with all these different quotes, I think it's very interesting, honestly, to hear what Lars Mikkelsen has to say. It's interesting, of course, for one thing, to get new insights here on the Ahsoka show overall, but really Thrawn specifically is a huge, huge vocal point for the Ahsoka show, because we all know that Thrawn is going to go so much farther and so much bigger at that outside of the Ahsoka show. He's being set up to be the big bad of everything that the Mandoverse has set up and offered us at this point, with all of the Mandalorian seasons, Skeleton Crew, the Book of Boba Fett, and the Ahsoka show, and whatever else they decide to do and announce as all of a kind of culmination event for the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie. It's very interesting to see the origins to a point of how they're bringing this character on, reintroducing him for another thing, and I was very honestly shocked kind of reading over this and learning about this, that transition essentially of Lars Mikkelsen's from animation to live action, and of kind of how he is just kind of the villain, like he's just kind of playing himself, very similar, as I had mentioned, to what Giancarlo Esposito does for Moff Gideon. Some Star Wars fans out there will look at these comments from Lars Mikkelsen and scoff. Going back to rewatch past Rebels episodes as a form of research feels like a necessity for taking the character on again after years away. However, this lack of rewatch could really be a good thing. By the time that Ahsoka kicks off in the Star Wars timeline, so much time will have passed since the ending of Star Wars Rebels. Because of this, Thrawn could be an entirely different character when he does premiere in live action, especially with the way of how they ended off his character in Rebels by being kind of just shipped off into the middle of nowhere and being stranded. What happened with that? And kind of reintroducing and tying up some of those loose ends and those many questions as for the same as Ezra Bridger and his character. And as Lars Mikkelsen had said, that it's not to say they will completely change his Star Wars villain, but it is important that they adapt the character so that it's not just more of the same. This sort of detached approach is something that has become more common of a practice as the Star Wars stars take on the Star Wars animation and come to live action. As I had mentioned, Obi-Wan Kenobi's Grand Inquisitor actor Rupert Friend also said that he did not watch Rebels to prepare for the character's live action premiere. Rupert Friend had said that he almost deliberately did not see the animated interpretation so that he could do something fresh and new without the character, without doing a kind of impersonation of anybody. While the Grand Inquisitor case is a little bit different, with Rupert Friend not having played the character in animation compared to how Lars Mikkelsen is playing this character of Thrawn in both Rebels animation and also in live action, we do know that it is different. Of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video, especially up to this point. Thanks for kind of bearing with me and my voice. I'm under the weather. I hope that I'll be back to normal very, very soon. Of course, I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.